Well, the Reserve Bank Governor Lesitsha Kganyago on the snowy slopes of Davos. He's wearing a woolly hat and a scarf because it's that cold. Governor, we seem to have had a rather muted response this year from international investors, international people visiting the South African stand.
The questions were tough. We didn't cruise like we normally cruise. You are in the middle of a global economic slowdown. You are in the middle of declining commodity prices. You are in the middle of a realignment of exchange rates. And the questions that then comes from the investors is what makes you different from everybody? What are your strengths? And
what is the answer to that?
Well, South Africa has got very strong macro institutions. We have got a strong central bank with a monetary policy framework that is anchored around the inflation targeting framework, and we are able to show that we have implemented the framework flexibly, but at the same time have implemented it robustly.
There are a lot of people in South Africa who believe that the events of the 9th of December were a breach of very significant trust. Does the fact that so few people are coming to the South Africa stand reflect that breach of trust?
Not so much as a breach of trust, but they did raise the question of you do not change finance ministers at that rate. It becomes a source of uncertainty, and we said that we understand that, and the president did come out and said that he had had a lot of representations. He had had South Africans who had spoken to him, and he decided that he is bringing back Pravin Gordhan, who had brought stability to the treasury. And speaking to investors here in Davos, they are saying, oh, Pravin Gordhan, he has got a very heavy task ahead of him. It's going to be tough.
Just looking at the state of the markets as you reflect them, of course, it looks like we're set for multiple interest rate rises this year.
We did state as the MPC that we remain on a tightening cycle, that we are concerned that if inflation keeps on rising and you have inflation expectations outside of the inflation target range, we would end up with a situation where inflation expectations are de-anchored. And when inflation expectations are de-anchored, the entire policy framework comes under question.
Do you see it as the job of the Reserve Bank to protect the rand?
The Reserve Bank's job is not to defend the currency, is to protect its value, is to protect what the currency buys in South Africa. I don't think that interest rates could be used as a tool to deal with currencies. From where we are as South Africa, as the South African Reserve Bank, we are very clear that our concern is what the exchange rate does to the inflation outlook. And if it puts the inflation outlook under risk, then we will be duty bound to act and deal with the inflation problem that will be arising.